exactly what it was, but I was like, I knew if I didn't get out of this bed that I was dead, because no one's coming for me. No one, I don't even know if they know I'm there or what's going on, why nobody's coming to get me. I have no idea. But the bottom line is I knew I had to get out of that bed. So I pulled with everything I had, and I managed to tumble out of the bed, and I hit the floor face first. And I hit right here. And you know how when you hit yourself or you get hit, you're waiting. There's that second where you're waiting for the pain to kick in, and you know
Right.
it's coming and you know it's going to be bad, right?
Right.
Well, that's what I'm experiencing, but the pain never comes. And the pain never comes because I'm not in that body anymore. I
So
was
the second
above
you
it.
hit the ground, you almost like knocked your spirit out your body.
Exactly. Yep. And that's when I'm above myself and I'm looking down at my lifeless body.
Hi, everybody. It's your girl E, and this is another episode of Vision Rebirth. This is a podcast where we explore life changing stories of near death experiences, out of body experiences, divine dreams, meditations, and encounters with higher beings. And today I have a special guest. He's an author of the books, The Awakening series, The Atheist and the Afterlife, and You Are Still Alive, Now Act Like It. And he's a teacher of metaphysics and a certified life coach. We have Ray Catania. How are you doing, Ray?
Hi, Erica. Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor and a privilege to be with you today.
For sure. Same. So I guess let's get into it. So I guess with you, I want to start off with sort of before your actual near death experience and talk about just like what was your belief system like and what were you going through before your near death experience?
Sure. So, yeah, I guess we'll go back a little bit to my childhood. My parents were Catholic, very strict, and they were kind of instilled that belief upon me and my brother, whether we liked it or not, and it just didn't really resonate with me fully, because I think that I was seeing the world from a place where it was kind of, well, I grew up in a home that was, there was a lot of trauma, drama, you know uh just things going on in the household that I would see and grow up around that just frightened me as a child, and things that, I didn't want to be any part of. So I would just kind of like isolate myself and hide. It was obviously fueled by things like alcohol and things like that. And there'd be a lot of fighting and things of that nature. And I just chose to, uh, think like, well, how, if there's a God who's loving and loves me, well, why is he allowing these things to go on around me? Why do I have to live like this? Why is life like this? And so I rebelled against that. And it wasn't so much that it was Catholicism, it could have been anything. I would have rebelled against it. And I went in the opposite direction as far as I could, to atheism. So I chose not to believe in anything. And it was more about being rebellious against my family than anything else. But um, so that is, the first portion of my life was was just disassociating from anything Christian or Catholicism. And then eventually it was at the age of 20 when I had my NDE. I was still living at home, still living in that house, and there was a fire in my home. And what had happened was um, the stove had a gas leak. Now the stove was on the first floor, and my bedroom was on the second floor. So if you can imagine, the gas, it's natural gas, and it's just rising up into my bedroom all night long. Nobody knows this. Everyone's asleep, but it's affecting me because I'm directly above the stove. So I've been inhaling it. In the morning, my mother got up and just, clicked on the stove. And I guess the way I understand it, there was this ball of flames, the wall caught fire. My father was able to put it out relatively quickly with a fire extinguisher. But I had been inhaling the gas fumes. So what killed me was not the smoke, and it wasn't the fire. It was the gas. So
Wow.
when I was laying in bed, I started to hear the fire trucks, the sirens, the walkie-talkies, and I'm like, "Wow, what's going on in my house?" Like I know something's going on, I just don't know what it is. And I try to get up out of bed. And this is the first time I noticed that something's seriously wrong because most of my body was paralyzed. I could not move certain parts of my body. My legs couldn't feel them, couldn't move them. It was like they were 1,000 pounds, and I was just trying to pull myself because my arm worked, my right arm worked, my left arm kind of sorta, and I was pulling myself to the edge of the bed to try to get out of the bed. My head felt like it weighed 1,000 pounds. I couldn't yell. Um, so I knew I had to get out of bed, and I knew that there was something seriously wrong with me. That much I knew. Um, so I tried to get closer to the edge of the bed, and each time I would get a little closer, I would pass out again. And each time I would pass out, I would something would wake me up, like, noise downstairs, people yelling and stuff, and I would pull myself closer to the edge, and then I would pass out again. And then it would happen again. I pull myself a little bit closer, pass out again. And it was, like the third or fourth try. I don't know exactly what it was, but I was like, I knew if I didn't get out of this bed that I was dead because no one's coming for me. No one, I don't even know if they know I'm there or what's going on, why nobody's coming to get me. I have no idea. But the bottom line is I knew I had to get out of that bed. So I pulled with everything I had, and I managed to tumble out of the bed, and I hit the floor face first, and I hit right here. And you know how when you hit yourself or you get hit, you're waiting. There's that second where you're waiting for the pain to kick in, and you know
Right.
it's coming, and you know it's going to be bad, right?
Right.
Well, that's what I'm experiencing, but the pain never comes. And the pain never comes because I'm not in that body anymore. I
So
was
the second
above
you
it.
hit the ground, you almost like knocked your spirit out your body.
Exactly. Yep. And that's when I'm above myself and I'm looking down at my lifeless body.
And you're
And I'm in the
floating.
corner of the room.
Are you
I'm
floating?
floating.
Oh wow. Okay.
I'm floating in the corner, right? So it's a perfect square. This particular room is a perfect square. I've tumbled out of the bed on the far side of the bed. I'm up in the corner. I'm looking down. I'll never forget. I mean, everything was like so vivid. Colors were more vivid. The sounds were like crisp and clear. All it felt like all my senses were just heightened. And I'm not afraid. And I don't know why I'm not afraid. It feels good. And adjacent on the other corner, directly across, is this huge cone shaped white light, for lack of a better word. I mean, calling it a light is not doing it justice. I can't even begin to tell you how incredible this light feels. This light is everything. This is love. This is painlessness. This is euphoria. This is happiness. This is just everything, every positive emotion you can possibly think of is in this light,
You can
and it's
feel
shining
the
only
light,
on me.
and you can feel the light.
I'm one with the light. I'm a part of the light. The light and me are one right now.
And
And
say, and where
I
did it
want to
appear again? It appeared like at the wall of your room. You said
the
the.
corner.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in the one corner. It's right across from me in the other
Okay.
corner. And my
Okay.
body's down kind of in the middle.
Okay.
And that light is only shining on my energetic self. It's not shining on my dead body. It's only shining on me. And I literally feel like I am the light and the light is me. And I can go into it. I can start to go into this tunnel. And at the end of that tunnel is a being who says, Ray, it's okay to come into the light, because I was scared. Now I'm starting to get a little scared because I don't really know. It's starting to hit me that, what's
That
going
you're
on, but I
dead.
feel this euphoria, right? And, and as I go into the light, the euphoria increases. So the more I go in, the better I feel. And I don't know why I trusted the being at the end of the light, but I did. And I started
How
to go
far
in
did you go
further.
in?
I would say about not even halfway, because here's what happens next. My father kicks in the door, and I guess they heard me like a loud thump when I hit the ground. And my father came running up first, and he grabs me and he's holding me and he's crying and he's, just distraught. And I've never seen him like that. Like I've only seen, he's got one emotion as far as I'm concerned, and that's anger. And it's always at me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I've never seen him, like, I never even knew that he loved me like that. Like, I never knew that
Wow.
he really had those emotions for me. And so it was in that moment when I saw that, and that was something I'd always wanted my whole life. I asked the being if I could go back, because I said something like, I can't leave my father like that. But it was really more about me wanting to have that relationship with my father that I didn't have.
Right.
So I don't know if that's why I was allowed to come back, but I did come back. And when I woke up, I was no longer in his arms. I was downstairs in the living room and I was on the floor, and the paramedics were on top of me and they were working on me, doing what paramedics do,
They were
CPR
trying to
paddles, all this other stuff.
resuscitate
And
you.
yeah. And when I came to, I still had a little bit of that euphoria, like it stays
Mm.
with you for a little while. So when I woke up, I was like, guys, I'm fine. I'm fine. I feel great. In fact, I've never felt better. And they're like, kid, trust me, you are not, you're not well. So just stay there and let us bring up the truck. And I was like, but did you see the light? Did you hear the voice? I mean, did you guys see that stuff? And now they're looking at each other like I'm crazy and I just better shut my mouth or I'm going to go to the wrong hospital and maybe never come out. So I just kind of zipped it at that point and let them do whatever it was they had to do.
Wow. What about the being? Like, what did that being look like?
So uh, there was nothing to actually see. I just knew that there was a presence there. There was,
So,
like, you're not
okay.
seeing with your eyes, you're not hearing with your ears. It's hard to really understand, or how to explain it. It's almost like just a transfer of information coming from one energetic being to another. But there was nothing that I could actually see or touch or feel or hear. Like, I have no ears or eyes at this point. So however I'm taking in the information is just coming from some sort of energy, a transmission of energy.
Wow. And this isn't the only time you would see this being, right? Because this being would also come
Right.
to you in different situations, sort of
Oh yeah.
saving your life. Can you like talk about one of those situations where that being came in? And was it still just like an energy when it came in too?
Yeah. Yeah. So, one of the times, so this being is proved to be with me for a very long time, and
It's like your guardian
now
angel.
today I know he's my spirit guide. Yeah,
Oh, your
totally.
spirit guide.
And there was
Okay.
one, I believe so. Yes.
Okay.
I was working in a bar. I was working for some shady characters at the time, and I remember I was behind the bar and I was making drinks after hours, and somebody said to get a bottle of something that was locked up, and I looked at the boss and the boss gave me the head nod. He's like, yeah, okay, you can pour it. So when I went down to get the bottle and unlock the thing to take the bottle out, I heard pop, 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 pop. And I know that's not firecrackers. I just know what that is because it's not the first time I've heard it. And I'm now I know that someone's shooting at somebody and I got to get out of there, but I don't know what to do. So the being came to me and said, side door, side door, side door. Three
Hmm.
times I heard side door, side door. And I'm saying heard for lack of a better word because I don't have a word to describe how I got the information.
Right. Right.
Again, you're not using your senses. So there is a side door. But in order for me to get to that door, the shooter or shooters are going to see me, but I have nowhere else to go. So it's either that or I'm dead again. So I ran to the door. I went through that side door, but that's not it. That doesn't take you outside. I had to go around, make a left, go through another door, and then there's a long 40-foot corridor to another side door that takes you to the parking lot, like a fire exit.
Right.
And I went out through that door, and don't you know, for some reason, I have no idea why, but I had parked my car right outside that door that day. I never parked there. In fact, I had my own parking spot on the other side of the building, and still, for some reason, I parked my car there. I don't know why.
Hmm.
And I was able to get out of there.
And you was able to get out. Like how can, because it with this being, and it only started appearing after, or at least you started seeing it after your near death experience. Do you think that this being was with you your entire life helping you, and now you're just being able to
I
see it?
do.
Okay.
Yes, that's exactly right. That's exactly what I think. Because there was times in my childhood when, I was trying to stay out of the fighting that was going on in a house, and I would just kind of hide in a closet, and I'd maybe be there for hours, and we didn't have any phones, or there were no computers then or anything to like entertain me. So I was just sitting and staring at a wall, and I would start to, like create things with my mind. And I started to interact with what I thought were my imaginary friends, but maybe they weren't imaginary after all. It could have very well been the same being that's been with me ever since then,
And
kind of looking out for me.
when you would go into that closet, can you tell, like, kind of describe the mind state that you were in? Because it almost sounds like a deep meditation a little bit, even though you were just trying to get away. Can you just describe that?
Yeah. So, there's when you experience trauma repeatedly over and over and over. Now, imagine I'm a little kid. I'm very scared. I'm just kind of curled up, like, make it go away, make it go away, make it go away. And I'm just in that state of mind where I need to escape the reality that I'm really in. And I think that I did it so many times. I could be there for 4 hours, 5 hours. I wouldn't come out until it was quiet and I was able to go to bed and I felt safe because I did not feel safe. So I would just sit there and be like, make it go away, make it go away. And eventually I could start to like feel other presences before me in there
Hmm.
with me,
Like almost like you were
which
summoning
I
them
didn't think.
almost.
Yeah, like I was asking for help and he came or she came or it came. And I think that's the same being that's been with me over and over and over through all these different experiences. There's one when I was about 10 years old and my parents took me swimming. We went to the beach and I had swum out. I loved to swim back then, and I swam out a little bit far, and there was this undertow that was really heavy. It was really pulling me back out, and I couldn't swim to shore. And the lifeguard was bringing out a whole bunch of people on the other side. There was like a group of kids on this side, and I was on this side. I was kind of like by myself, and the lifeguard was saving the ones on this side, and I'm waving like, help me! I'm going down. I can't get out." And he doesn't see me, so I start to panic. I'm a little kid. My heart starts pounding, and I don't know what to do. And this is what I hear then. And again, hear for lack of a better word, it's calm down, swim sideways, take all the
Wow.
time you need. It's always in
Wow.
threes like that. It's always like, you know, side door, side door, side door. Calm down, swim sideways, take all the time you need.
Wow.
And I can't calm down because I'm a little kid.
Yeah.
So that happened for me. Like it was like this feeling of just calmness that just took over my body and I was became relaxed. And then I started to swim on an angle, which I later learned is what you're supposed to do in an undertow, but I had no idea. So I swam on an angle, kind of sideways, and I just took my time. And
And you
didn't
got
worry about
away.
how long it was going to take me. I didn't look up to see how far I was from shore. I just kept my focus on my swimming and made it to shore. And I collapsed when I got there. So he got me out of that.
Wow.
And
Now,
there's so many more times.
why do you think, like, because even though you weren't an atheist at that time as a kid, but it seems like, you have been, being saved essentially, like you have been helped, even though, like, you were atheist, and you really didn't, like, sort of had the relationship with God that people talk about. Like, why do you think that, like, you were like being spared almost?
Well, um, well, obviously I had it wrong, um, being an atheist, but, I don't think that I was, like, punished. I think that, my guide, my spirit guide, was just kinda gonna be like, "Okay, I'm gonna help you." Why he chose or she chose to help me, I have no idea,
Hmm.
and, I'm just grateful and thankful that, they've always been there for me, but I have no explanation as to why.
How can, well, you know what? No, because you've had so many experiences that were interesting that, it's like this portal has opened for you, right? So I guess it's like,
Yeah.
how can someone have that portal open for them without almost dying?
Good question. So that's kind of what I try to help people with now. One thing that I noticed when I eventually went to a school with people with abilities like myself, and we started to learn about them from our teacher, everyone in the class had trauma as being like their common denominator. And it was from the trauma that came the birth of the ability. Now we all have traumas. It's not about yours being worse than mine or mine being worse than yours, or it doesn't matter, because it's from the trauma, from the bad situation that you experienced, is where we will find that good situation, that good that growth, if you will, the evolution, because it's from all the bad things that happen that something good will always come out of. The Buddha taught us that in order to ever become enlightened, one has to experience all emotions on the spectrum. So that includes the ones that are really, really bad, as well as the ones that are really, really good. And the good ones, those are easy. We like those, that we gravitate to those, but we have to dig deep into the bad ones in order to pull this out of ourselves and realize what we really can do with our minds. So what I do when I coach people is we go back there, we revisit those bad times, and from that we start to demolish what I call the ego, which is typically the part of the mind that's holding you back from that attachment that you naturally have. You have innate abilities, we all do.
Right.
We don't use them, and a lot of times we don't know why we're not using them. But what I try to teach people is exactly why you're not using it and how to break down that ego so that you can move forward.
What's an example of breaking down the ego?
Well, it takes time. One of the things that I do is called retraining the brain. And it's about taking negative self-talk and thoughts and turning them into positive terms. In other words, um, for example, let's say you've been sick for a very long time and you're thinking, I don't want to be sick anymore. I don't want to be sick anymore. I don't want to be sick anymore. Well, what you're projecting is a visualization or a vibration of I, sense of self, and the word sick. Those are the two things that you're sending out into the universe. So you didn't send out health, you sent out sick. So what are you going to get more of? Sick.
Sickness.
But if you
Yeah.
change that to I want to be healthy, now the vibrations you're sending out are I, sense of self, and the word health. Whatever you project, you see that to be, you are now projecting. So what we put out, we get back. We know this. So you have to put out what you want to get back. So if you want to be healthy, you can't say, I don't want to be sick anymore. You have to say, I want to be healthy. And that your thoughts drive what comes back to you. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. That's like it reminds me of The Secret, the law of attraction. That's what it
Law
reminds
of
me of.
attraction.
Now you
Yeah.
also
And the
had,
law of vibration,
yeah, go ahead.
the law of vibration is what makes the law of attraction work. And our thoughts and our speech patterns turn into a vibration that we send out. The universe speaks vibration. It doesn't speak English or Spanish or French. It speaks vibration. That's what it's always. Everything is around energy, frequency, vibration, right? So we have to emit that frequency of health. We have to emit that frequency. And the way we do that is we state the term and we visualize what that it is. So in this case, this example, it was health. So we picture what health looks like to us and we project it out and it comes back.
Is
And
that
that
more
is
so
the
emotion? Like, is vibration, is that like
yeah.
sort of another word for your
Yes.
emotion has to attract it? Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Okay.
And Dr. David Hawkins, I don't know if you're familiar with his work, but he did extensive research on vibrations and emotions and did an actual scale. He mapped out a chart of emotions. And it's real. If you get an opportunity, you should really check out the entire map. It's just so interesting to see what level each emotion is on. Like you would think maybe happiness is at the top, but it's actually not. It's more like enlightenment or peace. And at the very bottom is not anger. You might think it's anger, but it's actually guilt and shame. Those are the two lowest frequencies. And if you think about it, people don't kill themselves because they're angry. They kill themselves because they have guilt or shame about something.
Right.
So those are the lowest frequencies.
Do you think that's why you, even though you were an atheist, that you saw the light instead of, sort of the dark, when you passed?
Honestly, I don't think there really is dark. I don't believe there's a devil. I don't believe there's demons. I don't believe in that. I think that it is really all pure good love. But I do believe in karma, and I do believe that transcends this life. So if you are, not a good person or you're doing terrible things to other people, it will come back to you just as your thoughts will come back to you as well. So karma, I think, transcends this life.
Interesting, because I know so many people that be so mad at this life, and they're like, look at this person, they're a horrible person and they're living such a great life.
Oh yeah.
Like, why does God allow that to happen for them? Like, they're so terrible. Like, you look at like our president, or you look at different people and they're horrible, but they live such big
Hmm.
lives.
Hmm.
But people think that they won't ever, you know get that
Think
thing.
about this though. Yeah, well, it will transcend. Like their day is coming. It may not come in this life, but it's coming. Um, but also you have to think about, do you really think that man's happy? Because I do not think he
I
is
don't think
happy
he's
at all.
happy. I don't.
Right. Right.
Yeah, he's
So
definitely
he
not.
may on the exterior look like he's getting everything. I don't think he has anything.
Yeah.
I think he's very miserable.
Yeah, and that's honestly, that's the energy that he kind of like shows a little bit. It's
Puts out.
just showing like very like ugliness, loneliness, and just it's sad. It's sad. Now you had
I mean,
another
his wife.
go ahead, go ahead.
I was going to say, we know his wife doesn't even live with him in the White
Yeah,
House because she doesn't
yeah.
want to be around him. You know what I mean? But so, you know, um, we'll go ahead. We'll move on. What were you going to say? I'm sorry.
Now you had another experience when you met your now wife that I thought
Hmm.
was like crazy, because your wife's husband, like, you were hearing from him when you met her.
Her
Like, can you
father.
explain her? Yeah, I'm sorry, her father. Can you explain that?
Yeah. Yeah. So she suggests to me that there's a medium that she was about to make an appointment with who's coming into our area. She travels around a lot, travels around the country. She's going to be coming into our area. She'll make two appointments, one for me and one for her. And I can just tell her what I see and figure out if I'm crazy or not. And I
Yeah,
figure, okay, what have we got to lose? Now, here's the interesting thing. The second I told her that information, whatever that message was, I effed up, I made a mistake, you can help her, I cannot, he's gone. He's gone. He's not bothering me anymore.
right.
So we go to meet with this medium, and I went in first because I was petrified. And, and I sat with her, and I was, she's like, so what's going on? No, how did it start? She said, I said, hi, I'm Ray. And she goes, oh, you're that Ray. And I was like, that Ray, what does that mean? That Ray. She's like, have a seat, Ray. Tell me what's going on. And I sat down and I said, well, sometimes I kind of see people and they're not really there. And she's like, "Oh, me too, me too. I see that all the time. Me too." And I was like, Okay." So I go into explaining it to her, and I explain the feeling that I get, the vibrations, and then this happens and that happens and blah blah blah. And the movie screen opens, and she says, "Stop." And I said, "Oh, okay." She said, "That's exactly the way I see it too. So this is real. This is like an actual
Yeah.
thing." And she's like, "Yes, it is." And then we went through all the other things that I had seen throughout my life and all the other stuff that's happened. And she validated each and every single one of them. And I'm 40 something at this time. And I just like broke, like, here's one person, the only one person I've ever told anything to who actually understands me, like the real me. I didn't have to hide this stuff. I didn't have to pretend, with her. I could tell her these things. And my wife too. Here's a person that I can actually say this to, and I don't have to fear, being chastised or ridiculed or anything. And that's a burden that you carry. You don't know, and if you have nobody to talk to, and especially as a man, we
Yeah,
don't
just
like to
yeah.
admit there's anything wrong with us or we need any kind of help. So there's that aspect also. And I was just so relieved that I finally found somebody that understood me.
That's amazing.
And she's
Like that's amazing.
there's no doubt she's my soulmate, and we met for a reason. Big, big reason.
Man, her dad was still trying to, that love that parents have, or that love, like it still transcends even after
Yeah.
death. Like they don't forget about
Oh
you.
yeah.
That's
Yeah.
amazing.
He's like, "You're dating my daughter. You are talking to me. I don't care how long this takes. I will stay with you day after day after day until you open up and talk to me." Yeah, he was very, very persistent.
Now from
And he
all
still
you
comes around.
Oh, he still comes around to you. Can she, and your
Oh,
wife
yes. Are
can't,
you kidding me?
your wife can't channel um
No,
no. Okay, so
no.
only you can. So cuz from your stories it almost sounds like when the spirits started to know that you could see sort of behind the veil, as they say, that they were
Mhm.
hey, he can see, like, somebody, like,
Yeah.
say something. Like, wow.
Yeah, so her dad started bringing friends.
Oh.
Her dad was like, you wanna speak to somebody? I got a guy, come on," and he was like, bring his friend over, and his friend came and talked to me, and I delivered a message, and that was for my wife's friend, whose husband had passed, and, it was really, and I was still, like, on the fence because this is really, really hard for me to digest, right? I'm trying to I'm trying to be an atheist over here, and it's really getting
Right,
harder and
right.
harder. Um,
Where are
so
these
he,
people though? So where are they? Like, where are these
they've
people
crossed
that have
over.
passed? Like,
I believe they're in the fourth realm. I think that's the next realm that we go to after this one, if we're calling this one the third. And I didn't make that up. Someone else did.
yeah.
I'm just going with it. So if this is the third, I think the next one is the fourth. But I think if we are lucky enough or we work hard enough and we become enlightened in this realm, that we can move on to the fifth, which is actually a higher place where my spirit guides are. Because if
Okay.
I'm talking to my spirit guide now, um, and I have somebody in the fourth realm, that individual, or energy being in the fourth realm, can't see my spirit guide, but my spirit guide can see that person.
Interesting. Interesting.
So that's why I think that
And you
these
can
are
see both of
separate.
them. You can see both
Yeah,
of them. You can see your spirit guide and you can see the
yeah,
people in the fourth.
yeah.
Wow, that's super interesting. Okay.
But I also think that the people that are in the fourth, they have to have some abilities themselves. So I don't think like anybody in the fourth can just come forth and do this, because some people just don't do it. And I think my interpretation of that is, well, you have to kind of have a little bit of this gift over there, where you
Yeah.
are. And I don't know really. I believe we're all psychic. I hate that term, but I believe we're all psychic and we're all intuitive and we're all tapped into that source, that one source, universal collective. And but I don't know about mediumship. I don't know if that's something that can be worked on. And I know if you have it, you can work on it and develop it. But I don't know if you don't have it, if you can acquire it. I'm not sure. But I think that there are definitely some people that I can speak to in the fourth, and there's others that I can't. That I know.
From all your learnings and everything and your experiences, can you describe what God is? Or even like maybe
I can
what God is
try.
to you? Yeah.
So my impression of God is the consciousness, the collective consciousness that lives within all of us. Jesus said, God is within you. You are a part of God, and God is a part of you. I don't know if I'm saying that perfect. Um, but I think that if you take that statement, you can really build upon that and see that God is you're a part of God, right? A little bit of you makes up God, a little bit of me makes up God, a little bit of the next person. It's all our consciousness, this energy that flows through our being. You can call it a spirit, you can call it a soul, you can call it consciousness. It all connects in one place. And that place, that one place, I think is where you find God. So God is actually all of us, and not just people. I think animals, you have to put anything that's conscious, anything that has a consciousness is part of that entity. And that entity, I believe, is God, that energy.
And you spoke about it a little bit, and how you work with your clients, but I do want to just touch on a bit more, just because if someone is in need of some life coaching, some help, just can you just explain like what you do to help people get out their own way?
Yeah, sure. So, essentially, it's a lot about goal setting and figuring out where you want to be in your life and what you want to be and what you want to have. And it's not always about materialism. Sometimes it is. I mean, sometimes people, you're allowed to have money, you're allowed to have abundance, you're allowed to have those things. There's nothing wrong with those things. But there's more to life than that. There's inner peace and contentment, and being happy with what you already have is very, very important. So, although I will work with people on manifestation and accomplishing goals, and I have a really, I think, a very good system of helping people with my version of the law of attraction and manifestation and creation. I teach people how to enter the quantum field, and create the things that they want by understanding the language of the universe and being able to tell the universe what you want. Listen, if you're a part of God and God's a part of you, then you're a creator. You are part creator, and you can create anything that you want, and you can have anything you want. You just need to learn how to communicate that with the universe. And you need to also diminish the ego, which is that part of your mind. That's the part of your mind that talks to you all day long, like that
Yeah.
narrator that tells you you're not good enough. Don't wear that. You shouldn't have said that. You're going to look silly. What, he hasn't called you in 5 days because you did this and blah, blah, blah. And it's always insulting you and putting you down and hurting you. And that's got to go. Like, we have to get rid of that ego in order to fly, in order to excel. Because what happens is we start to believe those things that the ego is saying, and the ego's not you. The ego, even though it lives within you, it's not you. It's a separate entity. Most people don't know that. When I found that out, I was like, wow, like, that was a huge revelation for me. That voice in me is not me. I'll give you an example. When I was a little kid, I remember a time I was under the table playing with trucks, and all the adults were sitting at the table, and my parents had people over, and they were all sharing stories, and they were talking about fears and phobias. That's what the topic was. And when it got to my mom said, "Oh, I'm deathly afraid of heights." That's what she said. Now, subconsciously, I heard that, and that went into my subconscious. And my whole life, whenever somebody said, "What are you afraid of?" Oh, I'm deathly afraid of heights. I would even say it that
Uh,
way. I'm deathly afraid of heights. I'm like 6 years old. I don't even know what heights are yet,
right.
but
Huh.
I keep this with me all the way through my life. And I think I was like 46 years old when I went to Peru and I got my healing rights from the tribe known as the Caro tribe. But to get them, I had to climb Machu Picchu. I climbed up to the top of the mountain. We had the ceremony. I went straight up that mountain. I was so excited. I went straight up the mountain, got to the top. We did the ceremony. I came back down. We got back to the hotel room exhausted. And I turned to my wife and I said, I'm not afraid of heights. My mother is. So that's my ego. That was my ego
Yeah.
telling me I'm afraid of heights, but I never was. It's not me. It's just something I overheard when I was young and I made it a part of me when it's not real. So it's so many little things like that. We think they're little things, but over time they build up and they shape who we are and they shape the decisions that we make. Imagine making decisions now in your life that you came up at the age of 7, something that came to you at the age of 7, and you're utilizing that now to make decisions. That's crazy, right? I
Right.
mean, that's
Yeah.
who would you going to take advice from a 7-year old?
Yeah.
Excuse me, son, can you give me a little life advice here? I know you're only 7 and all, but you got it all figured out.
And it's
And
not
and,
even
and
yours.
that's what we're doing. And it's not even mine.
Yeah,
It's
it's not
not
even
even mine.
yours. Mm.
So when I first found myself, like my real self, I connected with my higher self. It was amazing. It was like so much weight was lifted off my shoulder. I don't go to that ego. I don't ask that ego questions. I don't listen to it when it talks. I'm not interested in those things that the ego's interested in. I'm interested in my higher self, and I let that drive me. That's the driver of my car, not the ego who's always pulling me down.
That's beautiful. Well, I want to thank you so much, Ray, because just this conversation definitely. It's funny, like sometimes I'll be thinking like a lot of these conversations are for me, sometimes, and not just like my audience, because it's just like they always seem to speak to something that I might be struggling with. Now, of course, I'm gonna have this information in the description, but if people want to book with you and
Mhm.
get some help and get some guidance, like how can they
Sure.
do that?
My website, raycatania.com. And there's a lot of information up there. There's information about the books. You can buy the books really anywhere, Amazon or any place else. But if you want to speak to me directly, you go to contact page and you can just fill out that form and I'll be in touch and we'll get together. So I thank you for allowing me to say that. Thank you very much.
For sure. Thank you so much, Ray. And also remember, this is Vision Rebirth. You can follow us at Vision Rebirth on all social media platforms. You can follow me at _real E on all social media platforms. Thank you once again, Ray, for your stories and for coming on the show. And thank you guys for listening. And cut.